All right, hello and welcome everybody watching. This is Nash Riker with Your Epic Destiny TV. I'm here with a beautiful and amazing and inspiring person named Stephenie Zamora, and we're going to get to know Stephenie a little bit here and learn about the good that she's creating in the world and the positive differences she's making in people's lives. Her story is very inspiring. Her work is very inspiring to me. She's the founder of StephenieZamora.com, and she also has an interview show called Your Awesome Life TV, which I think is really cool. There's some really good guests on there that I've watched and really enjoyed that thoroughly. Just a real quick snippet about Stephenie here, though. She's a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I like that, by the way, multi-passionate, because that kind of fits me as well. A life coach and lifestyle expert, a design, branding, and online marketing strategist, and the creator of the online program called Foundations of Unshakable Joy. So that's a lot of stuff you got going on, Stephenie. And
Yep.
Hey, thanks for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Good deal. Well, I'm very excited about connecting with you and learning more about you and what you got going on in the world. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's just get started by letting you share a little bit about your story, who you are, what led you to the transition into the line of work that you're in now, which is really inspiring people, changing lives, making the world a better place. I like to call people like you a change maker. And so let's just learn a little bit about you.
Awesome. Yeah. So my story starts when I was 21. I was kind of always ahead of the curve. So I had my quarter life crisis when I was 21. I actually had the perfect life, everything I thought I ever wanted. So that included a 6-year relationship with my high school sweetheart. I had just bought a townhouse. I graduated from college at the top of my class. I had an amazing job. I had pretty much everything I set out to achieve when I was 21. People were really proud of me, impressed with what I was doing, but I was so unhappy. And I didn't understand why. I mean, I had accomplished everything I set out to accomplish, and yet I still wasn't happy. So I kind of tore my life apart. I ended my relationship. I jumped into another. I started job hopping, started freelancing, really tried to figure out, okay, who am I and what do I really want? Because this whole time I had defined myself by, okay, I'm going to set out to be a successful college student, a successful professional. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to get married. But then when I got on that track, I was like, this is not what I want. So I kind of tore everything apart, went into about 4-year journey of trying to figure that out, answer the question, who am I and what do I really want? Started my own design business, moved to Hawaii, tried everything, tried surfing, read a ton of books. It wasn't until I actually read Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, which I absolutely love, that I figured out, great book. I figured out what I was passionate about. So the first chapter, I believe his equation is E plus R equals O. So the event plus your reaction equals your outcome. This is all about taking personal responsibility. So I just fell in love with the concept. And I had already been pretty good about taking responsibility for things in my life, but it wasn't until I read that chapter that I was like, whoa, this is a really powerful thing. How can I apply it all the time?
Nice.
So I started asking myself, with every situation, every issue in my relationship, my career, all that stuff, what did I do to allow this to happen? So what did I do to invite this crisis into my life, or to invite these problems and these issues into my life? And by answering that question, I shed some light on, okay, this isn't working for me. I'm not setting boundaries. I'm not being clear about what I want. And I started to attract more of the right things into my life. So more of the right friends, experiences, career opportunities. And from there, I didn't really fall into it, but that's kind of where the path started to be where I am now.
Nice. Well, that's exciting. So are you currently living in Hawaii still?
I'm not. I lived there for 4.5 years, and I just moved back to Denver, Colorado. But I am I'm happy to be back.
Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. I actually am currently in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I'm moving to close to Denver in September of this year.
Nice.
Yes. So the Rocky Mountains have just been calling my soul for several months now, and I just got to get out there and experience it. So, well, that's cool. I like what you talked about as far as the personal responsibility, and I read on your website there that you believe that personal responsibility has the power to change the world. That's a pretty bold statement. And so,
Yep.
can you elaborate a bit on that and what that means, why you feel it's so important, why people that are watching this really should grab hold of this message and understand it like at a fundamental level?
Yeah, absolutely. This is truly my passion. And I know that's a bold statement, but I absolutely 100% believe it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about taking personal responsibility for what shows up in your life. That's what I start with when I teach people about it. So asking yourself that question, what did I do to allow this to happen? And whatever you uncover, taking that as awesome news. So, okay, this is where you didn't set a boundary. This is where you invited this to happen. This is where you weren't clear. Awesome. Now you know what you can do differently.
Mm.
But I think a lot of people don't like the term personal responsibility because they feel like, whoa, like someone treated me like crap. How
Yeah.
is that my fault?
Yeah.
Or things like car accidents or disease or, natural disasters. We're kind of like, whoa, like this is not my responsibility. But it's really about shifting from that blame. So blaming someone else, blaming outside circumstances, even blaming yourself, to being solutions focused and being collaborative. So it can apply to everything. And one example I like to use is, in the workplace. So how does this apply to the workplace? If something goes wrong, a lot of the times we're so quick to be like, oh, well, so-and-so didn't do that, or, it was the client, or this was just a really crappy schedule, or whatever. We have all these reasons. But what if everybody just sat down together and every single person asked themselves, what did I do to allow this to happen?
Mm.
So maybe it wasn't your job to proof the copy before it went out to print, but could you have lent your eyes? Could you have helped in that process? So it's really about saying, okay, how can we work together to make sure this doesn't happen again? Or how can we work together to solve the problem? Or how are we contributing to the environmental crisis or what's going on in our community? So it's removing the blame entirely, and it's really being about, okay, what can I do to help make a change, and how am I contributing?
Cool. That's so profound. In my own life, some of the most helpless times that I've ever experienced was when I played the victim card, and passed the blame onto other people, other things, other circumstances. And like you said, even though we can't necessarily control all circumstances that come into our life, such as car wreck or natural disasters or whatever the case may be, right? Or what somebody else has said to us or done to us, but one of the most empowering things in my own life is realizing that I have full control over how I react to those situations, yep. Right? And then when I learned how to take responsibility for my emotions, my thoughts, my words, and my actions when things like that come into my life, that made all the difference for me. All the difference. So is that pretty much what you're saying too, and taking responsibility of your own thoughts and emotions?
Huge. When I talk about personal responsibility, that's usually, people get angry with me sometimes. They're like, well, okay, what about, I know someone who has cancer. How are they supposed to take responsibility for that? And for one, a lot of disease and cancer comes from our lifestyle. So the stress, what we're eating, the chemicals that are in everything.
Processed foods,
natural disaster. We all live in a disaster zone. This is a planet that happens. So, but going beyond that, you are 100% in control of how you react to any situation. So if something shitty happens to you, you get to choose whether or not to make it a positive experience, whether or not to learn from it or grow from it.
That is it right there. That, to me, probably was one of the most profound things that I've ever learned as well. And it really gave me a sense of control over my life, control over the results that, even though there might be a bad experience happening, I can learn something from that. I can grow from it, right? Those are just... It really has radically changed my life, and I really just have learned those kinds of principles within the last year or so, or less actually, probably like 6 to 8 months ago is when I really started discovering all of this. I wish I would have found your message, years ago, because I could be a lot farther ahead in life and everything. But you know what? I'm very excited about having discovered this and being able to bring this message to other people, because it's just, life can be miserable when you don't know how to control your own emotions, and you don't know how to react properly to, because there's kind of a misconception in the world that people have, and that is pain and problems shouldn't happen to me, right? Pain and problems just shouldn't happen. When they do, and they have that expectation that this shouldn't be happening to me, then the reaction is all wrong, and it puts them in the victim mentality, and then they're powerless at that point, right? And that's where the vicious cycle starts happening. So I'm really glad that you're spreading this message. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here. I just your message just resonated with me at a deep level, and I'm like, man, this chick really knows what's going on, and she's really setting people free, I bet. So I mean, when you start sharing this with people, like, because you do one-on-one coaching and things like that, do you see a lot of times where people that hadn't really known about these principles, when they finally get it, right, and they get it, do you see like a shift in their consciousness when that happens?
It's huge, and because all of a sudden you can see, oh my God, you can look back at your life and be like, I invited this. I basically asked him to treat me this way. You all of a sudden, you just see everything. And I really love coaching people through that process, because it's so easy for us to feel crappy about that. Like, oh my God, I don't know how to set boundaries, or I don't know how to manage my money. Like, that sucks. But really, it's like, this is awesome news. Like, get excited about it. Now you know better, and you can do better.
That's it. That's so cool. And you just have a much more positive outlook on life, I think, knowing that you can handle anything that comes your way, because you know what to do. You know how to handle it properly, So that's really, really kick-ass, I think. So, I mentioned your personal coaching that you do. I think it's important, too, to let people know that you do that, and if they want to reach out to you, they can. Like, can you share with us who is your ideal client, and, how do you really help those people?
Yeah, for sure. On my website, you'll probably notice I speak more directly towards women, because I am a woman, and that's just easier for me. It's from my personal experience, but I do work with a lot of men too, primarily people in their 20s and 30s who have lost sight of who they are. So I don't like to say that you need to find yourself. It's more that you need to rediscover yourself, because you always know who you are and what you want to do in the world. A lot of the times it's just buried under a lot of expectation, going down the wrong path like I did, going after goals that really don't light you up. So it's there, and I like to help people rediscover who they are on a very fundamental level, and then also uncover, what are you passionate about? What lights you up? What are you here to do? No matter how big or small it is, it's important, and it's going to make you feel happy and fulfilled. So once we find their passion, then I help them build a life and a business around it. So in my experience, I used to think those two things were separate. So I would help people with the life coaching and then help people build businesses. But a lot of times I'm finding when people figure out what they're passionate about, they want their career to be built around that. So I really help people turn it into a business idea, get themselves online, get themselves marketing to the right people, and really help them start building a business that's doing the work that they love.
That's cool. And I think that's powerful too, when somebody can take their career path, their business or whatever their career is, and tie that in with their mission and purpose in life, right? Or build their career around their mission and purpose, because that's something that so many people in the world are lacking, is personal fulfillment. Would you agree with that? Personal fulfillment,
absolutely.
And they just feel like you. I mean, you had all the accolades, right, at one time, and you still do, but you had all the accolades, you had all the perks, you had all the nice things that everybody out there is always chasing, because they think it's going to make them happy. But it's a false happiness. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, I mean, for some people, they are really content with that lifestyle, and that's awesome. But it's being clear about what is right for you. So what really lights you up? What lifestyle is true to you? What relationships should you have? We try to fit into this picture perfect the house and the husband and the 3 cars and the college education and the 9 to 5 job. But so many of us just don't fit into that mold, and we feel like a failure. We feel like, well, who am I if I can't bring these things into my life, when really there's a whole other path for you, and it's just a matter of figuring out what that is and then going after it.
That's cool. I love it. I love it. So one of the things you also do is you have extensive experience like in helping passionate entrepreneurs grow their businesses, right? Once you help them discover what their business may be and their career path and that kind of thing, and you help them market their services online and that kind of thing, can you give us some practical tips, some of your best tips on how existing entrepreneurs that may be watching this, how they can go out there and attract their ideal clients? A lot of the people too, like life coaching is becoming real big. Is that right? Are you finding a lot of people that when they connect with their what they want to do and their passion, their purpose, do you see a lot of them that become life coaches? Let me ask you that first real quick.
I feel like coaching is natural, especially when you're passionate about something that's related to your journey. So a lot of people who go through a weight loss struggle or they gain a lot of weight and then they get into fitness, like they become personal trainers and health coach. So what you're struggling with and what you're drawn to kind of ties into that. And it's natural, I feel, the evolution is to, once you get to a certain point, to start sharing and teaching and supporting everyone else who wants to create something similar. So I wouldn't say life coaches per se, but
just coaches.
People teaching and coaching and sharing.
Yeah, coaching more general, because there's definitely much more other categories of coaching than just life coaching. But you're right, because it's so empowering when you overcome a challenge or a struggle and you learn so much from that, right? And then you realize that, wow, there's so many other people that are struggling with the same thing. If only they knew my story. If only they knew the lessons that I've learned.
And so many people, from the outside looking at the whole of people, sometimes it seems like we're very superficial and materially driven, but every single person that I've come across on some level wants to be of service and wants to make a difference. So it's different for everyone, but once they figure out what they're passionate about, it's usually in some way some kind of service to others.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's kind of like built into our DNA somehow, like contribution, the desire for meaningful contribution in the world.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I love that the internet has become, just such a global phenomenon, right? I mean, it's so integrated in our society now, and we can connect at all, different parts of the world instantly. We can share our message with the masses, right? With thousands or even millions of people. We can spread ideas. And I believe that the internet, coupled with visionary world changers like you and all the cool, amazing people that I've been able to meet. Thank you. Yes. And it's people like us, though, that are helping with this whole consciousness shift and just like lifting up humanity to a level that it's needed for so long. I mean, for thousands of years, just look at just the brutality of human beings, fighting each other, killing each other, all of this, knocking each other down. I think it's time, to get away from that, start shifting into the, the age of enlightenment, if you will, where we're all working in harmony together, helping each other, lifting each other up, and, all of us striving to create a more harmonious and loving world, right? So I just love, that's why, I've been going through this personal transformation myself, and then I started coming in contact with people like you and like Sally Hope and all these other people, that I have lined up and I have interviewed, and it was just so inspiring to me, because it helped me to realize that I could be living life at a much higher level than I have been in the past, right? And I could be contributing so much more than I have been. So thank you, Stephenie, for being who you are and really inspiring me to just to be the best person that I can be. I really appreciate that. So I just
thank you for paying it forward and creating this series and sharing all of these amazing people with everyone else.
Yeah, good deal. So let's get back to my other question real quick about how to, what are some practical tips, some of your best tips on how somebody that is in, let's say, a coaching profession, some kind, or a holistic practitioner, somebody that is trying to seek their ideal client, attract their ideal client to them so that they can, service them in a positive way, spread a positive message to them or whatnot. What are some tips that you can give us?
Best thing for finding your ideal client is getting really clear on who they are. So this freaks a lot of people out. You think, well, I want to help everybody. I have gifts and tools and tips that can really serve everyone. But if you're not clear on who you're speaking to, you're going to water down your message for everyone. You aren't for everyone. That's just a fact. So we try to please everyone. We try to be very generic and broad, and that just waters down our message. So be very clear who you're speaking to, and then really get to know them. So what are they struggling with? What are their pain points? What do they really want to create in their life, and how can you help them, bring those results into their life? So being really clear and specific on who that person is going to help you tremendously. And then using that information, go out and talk to your ideal customers, really get to know their problem, like I said, and then use that in your marketing. So marketing is all about compassionate communication. You have something they need, and you want to help them create something in their life. So use that point of motivation. A lot of people feel like marketing is so sleazy, but really it's about serving your audience. So once you get to know them, write your copy in a way that speaks directly to what they're struggling with, or create products and programs that really help them with what they're going through.
Nice. That's powerful. And you do that so well on your site. I was reading it, and you go through all these pain points and everything, and so many of them I connect with, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's speaking right to me. And then you say something like, my story is your story, because, or something like that, right? And it sounds like it was like a lot of the things that you personally were going through, right? And then you discovered the solution, the answer to it. You overcame those challenges, and now you can just share it with others. But you can speak to them at that level where it just connects to their core of their being, right?
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, and for me, my audience is me 7 years ago. So I really have personal experience and understanding of what they're going through.
Nice.
So that's really helpful. And I also think our stories are so important. Brene Brown she's got some great books on this. So The Gifts of Imperfection is one I just read and really recommend. But owning your stories and understanding that this is how we connect and this is how we serve. So I've gone through some pretty crappy, embarrassing things. I've made some huge mistakes. I actually am doing a training series right now where I share my biggest lesson in personal responsibility. But, instead of being like, I'm so perfect, I have it all together, like, I want people to understand I've been through what you've been through. I've made mistakes and I've learned from them. And instead of watching you go through these mistakes on your own and taking a really long time to get to where I am, I'm just going to give you the tools that I've learned so that you can accelerate the process.
Nice. That's excellent. And I read somewhere too that when you can connect with your target market like that, it builds instant credibility with them too, because
trust.
Yes, trust and credibility, just like that, because they really feel like that they can tell you've been in their shoes, right? I love it. That's so powerful. Can you share with us a little bit about what this Foundations for Unshakable Joy is and what that's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the first program I ever created, and it's actually the process I went through personally. Of course, it took me 3 or 4 years to go through this process because I had no idea what I was doing. I had only read 1 or 2 self-help books. So I took my process from being totally lost, not knowing who I was, not knowing who I wanted or what I wanted to create in my life or what I wanted to do, and how I got to where I am now. So I'm super clear on what my purpose is. I'm really clear about what I'm passionate about and the work that I want to do in the world. So I took that process and I broke it down into 6 weeks was the original program. Walks people through taking a look at where they are in their life right now, figuring out, okay, what do I really want, which is a really hard question to ask when you're completely feeling lost. And then actually creating a plan that works for you. So that's something I'm really big on. Like I said before, we're all so different. We all have such different lives and such different personality types. So how do we create a plan and goals that will really motivate you and keep you moving forward versus what would work for me? So we create something really custom for them. I'm actually relaunching it right now, and I've added a couple weeks. Like I said, most people figure out what they're passionate about, and then they're like, how do I start a business around this? So I added a couple weeks that are kind of the foundation of, okay, how do you turn your passion into a profitable business?
Sweet. Well, that sounds amazing. I'm sure it'll be life-changing for anybody that goes through that. So I'll definitely be putting links right below the video on the post where this will be. linking you up to all that good stuff there. So we're right about at a half hour here, so I want to wrap it up, but I want to ask if there's what kind of final words of wisdom or inspiration or thoughts or anything that you'd like to share here at the end. If you can just visualize your target client, the people that you really can speak most directly to are watching this, what would you like to share with them?
I think the most important thing is really reconnecting with yourself. So whatever you're trying to create in your life, if you're trying to fix a relationship that's not working or find your passion or rediscover yourself or whatever you're doing, really reconnecting with yourself and hearing that inner voice, your intuition, and trusting it. And I think that's hard for a lot of people. We get so disconnected from that and we go into our mind and we think about, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, this is what's expected of me, versus listening to our heart and our body that's saying, this is what you need and this is what I most desire. So taking the time to be quiet, whether it's meditation or journaling or walks in the park, and really connecting to your body. So your intuition lives in your body, everything else is in your head. So if you're stressed out, if you're confused, if you don't know what to do, you're probably up here, hashing out which way you should go. And logically, we can argue either direction. So just turn that off, take a deep breath, and really tune into your body and see how you're feeling. So if you're feeling expansive, if you're feeling energized or excited or open, that's a yes to whatever you're asking yourself. If you're feeling constricted and hesitant and closed off, that's a no. So I always say start small. Like if you're really disconnected, start with, what do I want for dinner? And see what you feel in your body. Do you want to order this? Do you want to order that? And just start to trust it slowly but surely, and then move on to the bigger things. But I would say out of everything, including personal responsibility, that's still my number one. But number two would be reconnect with yourself and really learn to listen to your intuition.
Wonderful. That's profound too. I tell you what, all these things we've talked about, I recently have been discovering all of this and learning more about it. That is one of them, because I've had the horrible habit of always staying up in my head. I'm very analytical sometimes, and I just, man, that you get into this vicious cycle, and it's and then nothing gets accomplished, no forward progress is made. You feel frustrated, stuck, confused, and all of that. So, and it wasn't until I started learning how to live from my heart, how to follow my heart, and that's so powerful. So I would second that for sure. So to wrap up here, Stephenie, where would you like to send the visitors watching this? And is there anything else as far as products or courses or anything that you have that you want to make a mention of or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. You can visit me on my website, so stepheniezamora.com. I spell my name extra special, so just double check that.
Yes.
My dad thinks it's hilarious that nobody can ever spell my name right. But yeah, stepheniezamora.com. I do one-on-one coaching. I have my foundations program, which is actually kicking off August 19th. Whether this airs before or after that, you can go to myawesоmelifemastery.com and check out a free training series I have going. So I dive more into the personal responsibility, more into positivity and gratitude and how important that is, and then also more into, what's the third one? Why did it just escape me? Oh, living in the present moment, which we were just talking about. So how to be present and how powerful that can really be. So I have that training series up there. I also have some info products on my site, which are basically self-coaching tools. So some of my most powerful tools I put in PDF form, very affordable, so people can just use them as they need. Other than that, I love to connect on Facebook and Twitter.
Great. Well, I'll have links to all of your social networks and your site and everything else on the page where this is posted. So I just want to say, Stephenie, thank you again for the interview here. This was a pleasure for me. It was really fun getting to connect with you, learn about more about you personally and what you're into. And I'd like to leave the door open for some future interviews possibly. Maybe we can drill down deep into certain topics and everything. And I just think this was really fun. So I just want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Very good. Well, this is Nash Riker, and you're watching Your Epic Destiny TV, so thank you for watching, and I just encourage you watching this to just boldly go pursue your own epic destiny, because it's waiting for you, and you have everything you need inside of you right now to go do that. So reach out to Stephenie if she can help you with any of that, finding yourself, discovering who you are and your purpose. She definitely can help make that happen. So I just want to encourage all of you to do that. So with that, we will see you next time. Love and peace.